Rick, how's Maxi doing, and how important is a guy like him when it comes to defending the Clippers' three-point shooting, which obviously is easily tops in the league?
Yeah, he's making some progress. He did a little bit today. We had a non-contact technique-oriented practice today with a lot of shooting. We didn't do any grinding or contact per se. He did some light shooting today. The hope is that he can do a little bit more tomorrow. But we're hopeful that he's going to be okay. But it's early here. Tomorrow's going to be a big day to see how he's progressed. But the answer to the other part of your question is he's very important. He's one of our top 2 or 3 defenders, and so we're doing everything possible to get him ready here. We hope Mother Nature is cooperative to the extent that she can be, and he's been doing a lot of work with his rehab, and Casey and Dion have been doing a lot of work with him as well. So we'll proceed and hope for the best.
What's up to Callie Kaplan?
Hey, Rick, you've talked, I think a couple of times about bets you've made with Luka over the years. So I'm curious, which one stands out to you most? What was on the line? What was it for?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really interested in getting into those personal things with the media, but if you have a basketball question, I'd be happy to answer that.
I guess, are there any, half court shots then that we haven't gotten to see in practice otherwise that, stick with you and when Luka's fooling around like that?
Yeah. Listen, there's a lot of them. He's uncanny with his ability to make those, and he practices them too. And he expects to make them. So, if you got a guy that has that kind of feel and ability, and he practices them, and he has the direct intention to make them, then he's gonna make his share. I had another player who's with us now, Daryl Armstrong, that was similar. Daryl would make 2 or 3 of those 50-foot shots at the end of quarters every year, routinely, because he was unafraid. Didn't care about, whether it missed and what it might do to his percentage. And he was always playing to win. And so Luka's wired a lot the same way. And I think that's really important for any great competitor, and particularly a guy that, is one of the top players in the game.
All right, Michael Shapiro, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Luka had a strong postseason debut last year. Do you think it's particularly beneficial for him to now have that playoff experience under his belt going to this series? Is there a benefit to that?
Oh, sure. There's no substitute for experience really in any walk of life. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. And the fact that we're playing the same team that's structured, with a high level of similarity, there's some things to draw on for sure. I know he's looking forward to the playoffs. I mean, this is the kind of challenge that he relishes, and that our team is going to relish too. Clippers are a great team. They've got 2 superstar players, and they got a lot of great role players and help around them. So this will be a great challenge for us.
All right, we'll go to Skyler. Skyler, go ahead.
Rick, going this long without a playoff series victory, do you ever think about that much? Does it bother you? Does it frustrate you, or are you able to pretty easily put it in that box that you like to call ancient history?
Well, this has been a rebuild, since we had those few teams where we were able to stay in the playoffs, and we had some years where we were pretty competitive in the first round. But that's not what we're about. We're about winning championships here. And so, at this point, having gone through a very challenging season that's been challenging for everybody, the playoffs is the next thing that's really important. And look, everybody that gets into the playoffs, is geared up to try to win the series. And we want to build on, whatever progress we made last year, in having what was, a competitive series for the most part, but we want to build on that and get better.
All right, Tim Cato. Tim, go ahead.
Hey, Rick, back to Maxi, and I know this will hinge on his availability and health. In the last series, you started him, and I believe pretty much said, it was to guard Kawhi. What is Maxi's value in being able to guard a player like that, and how comfortable or what would you expect a defensive approach to be with the addendum that you're not going to give specifics in terms of guarding someone like Kawhi?
What's the question? You're
just basically how are you going to guard Kawhi, and how does Maxi and Dorian factor into that as your two top perimeter defenders?
Yeah, those two guys are, two of our very best defenders, period. And so, it's important that, if at all possible, that Maxi can be available. And look, he guarded Leonard last year a lot of the time. Dorian guarded him some. Luka guarded him some. Look, Kawhi Leonard is a top player in the world. He's a great one-on-one player. They do a lot of things to get him to his spots. And we've got to try to make it as hard as possible on him. And, Maxi's unique in that, he's got real good size and length, and he moves his feet well. Now this year, it's been challenging for him because he's been dinged up a lot with injuries, but that's why this week's important. We'll try to, work with him and get him through this week and hopefully have him ready, but we're not sure yet about that.
Lawrence Murray, who is with The Athletic in Los Angeles.
Good afternoon, Rick. You mentioned the high level of familiarity between the two, the fact that the Clippers and Mavericks met last year, and outside of the bubble aspect of it, I just want to know, what do you feel is the biggest difference between approaching this year's series compared to last year?
Well, we have another year of experience together as a team under our belt. Our team isn't exactly the same, nor is theirs. But, it's been good to get KP back these last 3 games so that he can, rebuild some chemistry with the guys that he's playing with and those kinds of things. And look, there'll be a lot of things going on in this series, with matchups, with different ways, they're going to guard us and we're going to guard them and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot made as you go into a playoff series of all the things, that are involved, the personalities, the matchups, the history, those kinds of things. Our big task is going to be to play our game to the best level that we can, to play efficiently, to make sure that our basic things are being executed at a high level, things, like transition defense, pick and roll coverages, and that we're rebounding well. We got hurt very badly on the boards last year, and that's going to be a big part of this series. We're going to have to do a much better job of keeping Zubac off the glass. And he's a great offensive rebounder, and he's got great size and great hands, and he finishes, and he can make free throws.
All right, 3 more. Brad Townsend, go ahead.
Yeah, Rick, even without fans in the bubble, last year's series was, really intense and physical, and some rough play involved. I wondered what you think you guys may have taken from that, and how maybe emotionally and maturely more prepared you might be for that. Not that you didn't handle it well last year, but how much you handle it better this year.
again, this is where there's no substitute for experience. And, having gone through that and some of the chippy things that happen in a playoff series, it's a great learning experience. Some things we handled very well. Other things we'll need to handle better this year. But again, having gone through it, I think is an important thing. And the ultimate goal is to be better this year going in and give ourselves a better chance.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Kevin Gray, go ahead.
Rick, this team last year was 17-24 in clutch time situations, but 18-15 this year, 10th in the NBA. How have you seen this team grow in late game situations and executing better that will help you in this experience with the Clippers this time around?
Well, again, I just feel that the experience of, going from one year to the next, it was certainly an emphasis of ours headed into this year. Our execution was better in those situations, as you mentioned. And I think our habits have gotten better too. And so we've got to carry those things into the series. Again, it's the little edges that you can pick up here and there that sets you up to be in a stronger position entering crunch time. And so we'll work at all those things in the next in the coming days leading up to game one. And again, it's Clippers are they're a terrific team, and they played most of the season without all their guys. So they're probably quite a bit better than what their record is. So we'll have our hands full, but that's good. This is a challenge that'll be great for us.
Last question for today, Jasmine Wimbish from CBS Sports.
Yeah, Coach, you've talked in the past about how Tim has embraced whatever role you guys need him to take on for the team, whether that's starting or coming off the bench. But not every guy in the league would be so accepting of, accepting that type of role. So how important has his ability and willingness to accept that kind of role been for this team's success this season?
Yeah, it's such a great sort of, standard. It's such a great example. Culturally, we want to be the most unselfish team in the NBA. And we want to be about everything having to do with team. Look, Tim Hardaway is a bona fide starter in the NBA. He's one of our best players. And when he was willing to come off the bench, and I think I talked to him about it back in January when we were getting Maxi back from his COVID thing. Jay Rich had been starting and we wanted to kind of keep it going, and Tim had come off the bench earlier in the year, and we'd had some success with it. I called him one night when I found out that Maxi was going to be a go for the next game the next day. And I think it was the second game we played in January at home against Golden State. And I said, Tim, Maxi's going to be back tomorrow. And he gets the coach, you don't even need to ask. He goes, I'm fine coming off the bench. He goes, we need to get this thing going. Whatever is needed by this team is what I'm going to do. And so, obviously that's great to hear when you're a coach. That was when we really started to turn our season around. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Tim Hardaway's willingness, not only willingness to do it, but the way he embraced the challenge of taking on that role, that was really key to us being able to turn the season around and eventually win a playoff spot and avoid the play-in.
Do it. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.